1, 2, shake, shake, 1, 2, shake, shake, and then you go 1, 2, shake, shake, 1, 2, shake, shake, 1, 2, shake, 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 apa, shake, shake, ah, dia nana, dia nani, dia o, dia nana, dia nani.
But we can't talk about Africa without talking about Rwanda and Uganda, and that is who our next presenter is, in the form of Debbie from Wild Frontiers. I love the imagery so much in your presentation. I think everybody does who can't help but look at pictures of gorillas and want to go or immediately think of what was the movie? Mist? Gorillas in the Mist. Thank you. I knew it was going to come to me if I gave at least one word anyway. We can't help but think of those images because they're so entrenched in our mind. And again, I think at some point in our lives, we all want to go there and do what you're going to, what you're about to tell us, Debbie. So I will turn things over to you so you can tell us about Rwanda and Uganda. Debbie from Wild Frontiers.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. Yes, I'd like to run through a short presentation on the region, Uganda Rwanda, which of course is in Central Africa. Basically, I'd like to give you guys some ideas about what else you can sell in that destination, not just gorilla safaris. Firstly, a little bit about us, Wild Frontiers. We've been around for 32 years. We are owner-run and managed, and very much involved still on a day-to-day basis. And we've got our own lodges, camps, vehicles and boats and so forth in Uganda. And we're partners to GoAway in the country. So in other words, we basically look after your guests through GoAway from airport back to airport and all the arrangements in between. So some reasons why you should spend a bit more time in Uganda and Rwanda. Firstly, I'd like to sort of familiarize you with the map of the destination. So if you look at the map, the bottom left-hand corner is where your mountain gorillas are, and the Bwindi National Park in Uganda and Magahinga, and then of course in the Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda. Moving north, all the green areas are national parks. So you have Queen Elizabeth, which is known for game viewing, tree climbing lion. We also offer a nice boat cruise there. Further north, you've got chimpanzee trekking in the Kibale Forest area. And then up in Murchison Falls, again, we've got the Nile River running right through the middle of the park. And from there, we do boat cruises, game viewing, birding, also game drives and so forth. And again, there's chimpanzee trekking there as well. The little black markers on there are places where we have our own accommodations. Moving on to Rwanda. Again, to familiarize you with the destination, up in the north left-hand side, where you're bordering DRC and Uganda. This is where the mountain gorillas are in the Volcanoes National Park. To the right, Akagera National Park, home for the Big Five. And then down in the south, Nyungwe Forest. So first, to start off a little bit on gorillas, of course. You can trek in either destination, and both places have got different levels of accommodation and different attractions. You can also combine both destinations if you prefer. But a few facts and figures. Rwanda gorilla families, there's 14 in total at the moment. Permits cost $1,500 versus Uganda, which is $800 a trek. And as you can see there's quite a few more families there. Age limit, which is important to note, is 15 years. So children may not trek gorillas. Once you purchase a permit, it's non-refundable and non-transferable. So it's particularly important to make sure that you design an entire itinerary, making sure absolutely everything works before we get the nod for buying the permits. Plus, of course, you need to make sure that you have been paid the deposit accordingly. When you get to see the gorillas after trekking, which can take anything from 20 minutes, half an hour to maybe 3 or 4 hours, you spend 1 hour with the gorillas. That applies to both Uganda and Rwanda. There is another alternative in Uganda with just one family where you can actually do what they call gorilla habituation walk, which is a bit longer, and you get to spend a little bit more time with the gorillas and the researchers and so forth, and that's also $1,500. This map just kind of shows you a little bit of the terrain. As you can see, it's a Google map, very mountainous, green, lots of rivers and lakes running through. That top dark patch is Bwindi impenetrable forest, and the bottom section with a red circle around are the volcanoes along the border where the Rwanda and Megahenga gorillas are found. This is Bwindi. Bwindi impenetrable forest, as the name depicts, it's a beautiful forest, and from your very first step you're walking in the forest, so it offers good birding. You might see other game there as well, but it's a really natural, beautiful area. And this is our lodge there, Buhoma Lodge. We just have 10 rooms all up the mountainside, fabulous views, really, really nice location. It's just next door to the park, and as you can see, good food. We also include a massage and drinks for our guests, and so it's a really good base for your gorilla trekking opportunity. Moving down to Rwanda. They call it the land of the thousand hills, and as you can see on here, it definitely is. The Virungas, your gorilla trekking is on the lower slopes of the Virunga volcanoes, and similarly to Uganda, you basically walk for anything up to 2, 3, 4 hours, and then you find your gorillas and spend an hour with them. Moving further north on the map, up to Queen Elizabeth National Park, Kibale Forest and Murchison. I'm going to be sharing some images with you now. And similarly, Rwanda, I'll show you a few more areas. Chimpanzees is another favourite when you go to Central Africa in a number of places. So chimpanzee trekking is generally a little bit quicker. They move a lot faster, typically through the forest. But once again, once you find the chimps, then you spend an hour observing them. You might see other primates and monkeys during your trek as well. Forest birding, and there's also a canopy walk in Nyungwe National Park in Rwanda, which is pretty scary if you don't like heights like me, but definitely worthwhile doing if you do enjoy heights. Then moving on, game viewing. As I say, I'm giving you some more reasons to go to this region, not just gorilla trekking. There's some fantastic game viewing areas. These are our vehicles in Uganda. We have the Stretch Land Cruiser, which you see quite often throughout the whole of East Africa. Nice and spacious, big windows, all window seats. There's no middle seats in our vehicles, fridges and things like that in the back as well. Akagera National Park down in Rwanda. This is where you will find the Big Five on the Rwandan side of the border. And then jumping back across to Uganda, we have Ishasha, which is the southern part of Queen Elizabeth National Park, quite well known for tree climbing lion, as well as good herds of plains game and so forth, elephant, buffalo and so on. And this is our camp here inside the park. It's not fenced, so we regularly get visitors wandering through. And we do all the typical safari activities. Crater Lakes area up in Kibale, which is in Uganda, and then of course Murchison Falls, as I mentioned, the Nile River, where it cuts through this really narrow gap, creating the Murchison Falls. We do game viewing, fishing, birding, all sorts of things. It's a really, really nice option and definitely worth 3 or 4 nights. Ruwenzori's mountain climbing, there's wellness places, as I mentioned earlier, fishing safaris. So, definitely not just a gorillas only destination. We also can put up a bush camp for private groups, VIPs, maybe families, if they want to do something a little bit more authentic and really spend some time in the bush. Ngamba Island is a chimpanzee sanctuary just on Lake Victoria, just outside Entebbe. And there's another place there called Mabamba Swamps, where you might see this very interesting looking bird called a shoebill stork, which for birders is quite a big tick. These birds are almost a meter high. They're quite a sort of a prehistoric looking creature. So Uganda, Rwanda, just so many different things to see and do. This is in the Nile River. It's a lodge called Wild Waters, which is literally smack in the middle of the Nile River on an island. From there you can just chill, or you can do rafting or bungee jumping. We also offer community visits. We have an NGO called the Future Generations Trust, whereby we donate and obviously encourage our guests to donate as well, monies that we work with communities and wildlife. There's often quite a big wildlife community conflict going on, so it's quite nice to be able to educate people and show them that looking after wildlife really does make a difference to their future. And last but not least is our little boutique hotel in Entebbe, hotel number 5. We've just got 15 rooms here, and it's in the suburbs, so it's in a really, really nice part of town. Travel tips, last but not least, it's very easy to connect Uganda and Rwanda into the rest of East Africa and even Southern Africa. There's regular flights. Once you're in country, you can either use domestic flights, or we can drive you around depending on your budget and what you'd like to do. Some people like to see things on the ground. And style of accommodations, everything from your 6-star all the way down to your 3-star and everything in between. So yeah, ask your guests the right sort of questions, and we'll definitely do our best to put something together for you. We also offer small group departures, which are guaranteed minimum 2, maximum 6 guests in a vehicle, I beg your pardon. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Well, thank you, Debbie. And just before you go, so you said it actually perfectly. Don't just think about the destination for gorillas, right?
Yeah.
And ask your guests the right questions.
Yes.
What's sort of the number one right question we should be asking?
Well, there's more than one, actually.
More than one. Yes, I figured that.
Apart from the obvious thing about budget, which is always a very awkward question to ask guests, because it's not really something that people want to ask. Maybe a way around that would be to tackle what type of destinations they've been to and styles of accommodation they've stayed in before, so we can try and match something up correctly. Fitness levels when you're doing things like this is also quite important. And GoWay has a sort of a self-assessment gorilla trekking form that people can have a look through and sort of work out for themselves how fit they are.
Okay, good. And one final question. Should people understand the difference between Rwanda and Uganda in terms of the gorilla experience?
Yes, it is a little different, but at the end of the day, it really does depend on which family you get allocated, and that only happens on the morning of the trek. So if people are a little bit anxious about doing a sort of heavy-duty walk, they tell the guides at the briefing, and they will do their very best to accommodate them. And other people who want to go on an adventure for the entire day say so they can pick a family that might be a little bit further away.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, that's good stuff.